is up, ladies and gents? It's your boy Lou Streets back with some more LSV, and in this video we're going to be talking about how to improve your gameplay in Mortal Kombat 1. Now, whether you're a beginner who's never played the franchise or you're just trying to find your footing with the new engine, I have 7 tips to help you improve, so let's get started right now. Alright, so for the first tip, let's talk about the settings. You can leave all the buttons at default, but I do want you to take a look down bottom. The input window timing, we can keep that on long. If you go short or medium, which is the other 2 options, it requires a little more precision. So the best way to solve that is to leave it on long, unless you want it changed specifically. The next setting is release check, or better yet known as negative edge. Pretty much the best way to explain this is, let's say that you're doing a string and you try to cancel into a special. Sometimes when release check is on, it'll register the previous button instead of the next button. So the best way to solve that is just leave it off. That way your specials will come out properly. The next one, alternate controls. Special moves require diagonal inputs. This is not Street Fighter, this is Mortal Kombat. So for instance, down back would be quarter circle back. Leave it off, it just makes things easier. Input shortcuts. Special moves require less directional precision. That's pretty much the same thing as alternate controls. So for the most part, just leave that on. It'll make your inputs easier. Button shortcuts. This is pretty much like when you're doing a throw, you can press left bumper instead of X and A together. So leave that on. And then of course, vibration, if you want to feel the game, you can leave that on or you can take it off. That's up to you. But these are the main settings that I use. So go ahead and set yours just like mine if you want to. Let's move to the next tip. So for tip number 2, what you need to do is decide your play style. And I like to break this down into 4 categories. So the first one would be a rush down, which is pretty much pressuring your opponent and doing combos in their face. The second category would be being a mixed character, which confuses your opponent with high-low mix-ups. The third would be a zoner, which is playing keep away, keeping your opponent across the map while chipping them out or hitting them with projectiles. And then the fourth is a grappler, which is usually like a command grab character that may have like a little bit of mix and tricks, but for the most part, it's command grabs, right? So we can take a look at what these look like. So your typical rush down character would be somebody like Liu Kang, somebody who wants to be riding your grill, getting a combo, knocking you down, and then doing it all over again, right in your face again. So Liu Kang is your rush down character, right? So a mixed character would be somebody like Smoke, where the game plan is to confuse your opponent. So you're coming in low, coming in high, double low, stuff like this. Trick them up, then confirm the combo. But for the most part, it's like you just trick them up and confirm a combo where it's like, is he coming in low? Is he coming in overhead? Now he got you respecting and blocking, now you grab. So that's pretty much what a mix-up character is. It's pretty much just hollow on your opponent so they don't know where you're coming from, you know? Okay, so my next play style is a zoner. Let's start off with his mobility options, right? So he has this portal, he has this, and he can get across the map if he needs to, but for the most part, he's trying to keep you out. So keeping you out with projectiles, keeping you out the scour projectiles like this, maybe something that goes long range across the ground like that. But then on top of that, still having a shield, something that can frustrate you, so he can throw projectiles at you while at the same time keeping you across the map. So the whole game plan for this type of player is to just frustrate you in the dumb mistakes where you're getting chipped out, you're getting hit for cheap damage, and you're taking silly risks because you're getting frustrated with getting in. Some people call this gameplay style cheesy, but at the same time, it can be very effective because it makes your opponent think. So that's what a zoner is, pretty much. Keeping you across the map, keeping you annoyed, keeping you out the sky, keeping you down blocking, and then on top of that, rejecting your projectiles as well. Cheesy, but effective to some. So the next play style that we have is a grappler, and it's the reason they call it this. So I got Smoke set to block, right? So if I go to do this attack, Smoke's gonna block that, right? But when it comes to having a command grab pretty much breaks the block. So it's like this. I do the command grab and string, now it actually hits Smoke, right? And so the way you can avoid this is letting go of block and ducking down, but I don't got it set to do that right now. But this is why they call this a grappler, because for the most part, he can break your defense. And what it means is that you have to make a decision between, is he gonna do this whole string right here to safe on block, or is he gonna switch it up into a command grab? And it's a lot more to Garrus and characters like this as well as Rico, but that's the main reason that they're called a grappler, because of the command grab. Because it's a 50-50 guess, and you gotta pretty much guess right to keep your health, all right? So let's talk about picking what type of character that you want after you know these 4 playstyles, right? Okay, so we have our 4 playstyles, right? We have Rushdown, we have Mixer, we have Zoner, and we have Grappler. So you need to decide, what do you want to do based on the playstyle you intend to have. In my case, I'm a Rushdown player, so I'll play Liu Kang. That also affects what cameo you pick, because cameos have different strengths and different weaknesses. In this case, I have Serena, because she has good combo extension because of this move right here. So by me having Serena and being a rush down player, now I can do a combo that's similar to this. Now, as you can see, I love sexy combos, right? But the execution can be a bit tricky. So let's see what it looks like when you put a mix-up cameo with a mix-up character. Now, when it comes to a mix-up character, it might be something a little bit trickier because I got the computer set to block. So the computer can block this, right? But you know, go overhead, call striker low, see if somebody can react to that. Or you have a situation like this where I have the computer set to block and they blocking everything, right? But imagine a human player reacting to this mix. Going low, overhead, low, overhead, low right here, low, overhead, overhead, you know what I'm saying? Or going low and they're looking for the overhead, but now you call a cop bop out or something like that, you know? So it's just the different layers that you can add to the mix, but this is a mix-up character, so you gotta decide your playstyle based on what your interests are, you know? So let's say that you have your playstyle figured out and you know what type of character you're gonna use. Now in those scenarios, you need to find your BNBs. That way when you get an offensive touch, you can make the most bang for your buck. So you get a situation like this. 38% on that touch right there, right? So that's close to a fourth of their life going, like a third of their life, maybe about 40%. So 2.5 touches, they're dead. So you wanna make sure that you're figuring out what your best BNBs are. That way when it's your turn to punish, you actually get that much bang for your buck instead of nickel and diming your way to a win. Of course, you're not gonna get a combo all the time, but when you get a chance to get a combo, make sure that it counts, and that's based on your character and your cameo. So make sure that you know your play style and then optimize it when you get your chances to. Okay, so now we have our settings in order, we have our fighter selected, we have our play style figured out, we have our cameo selected, and we have our BNBs. Sometimes your main game plan isn't gonna work, so we need to be able to adjust on the fly and process information. So let's say that I'm playing against a Liu Kang zoner, and all he's doing is zoning me. Every time I poke, he throws a fireball, knocks me down, right? Poke, throws a fireball, knocks me down. So I might have liked to use Serena cameo for a combo extension, but in this scenario I can't because I'm playing against a Liu Kang that's throwing 1,000,000 fireballs per match. So now you gotta switch it up sometimes and have a plan B, be able to adjust on the fly. So let's say that we're playing against a zoner, I'm calling out Sub-Zero, now watch. Put on the ice shield, now that doesn't hurt. So imagine that without Sub-Zero, you know? Hold up, I put that on, I swing at him, and he's throwing that, but now my pressure can keep going. Now it doesn't look normal because I have the computer set to do a fireball in response, but I'm just kind of showing you that sometimes your main play style won't work. And when it doesn't, you need to be able to adjust on the fly. So maybe touch multiple cameos and have a game plan A and then a game plan B in case you run into a scenario where your game plan A just isn't able to work. Okay, so now elaborating on being able to process information during a fight and use it to your advantage, another thing that goes along with that is knowing your matchups and knowing gaps. So what I'm gonna do is, I have Liu Kang set to throw a fireball on block. So let's imagine that that fireball is him poking instead, like doing a down one. Let's see this Liu Kang gap when I do 4-4-3-4. You see how he gets hit because there's not enough frames for him to poke right there? Let's do it again. He gets hit. Now imagine that's somebody pressing down one. They lose that battle to me all the time. If you watch my videos, then you know I employ the strategy a whole lot. But there's a weakness to this, and these are the things that you need to be able to understand. So let me switch this up now. So now I'll switch this up, right? But let's imagine that only the last block is a flawless block. Watch how this changes. Now remember, when you try to press down one, he got hit, right? But you see if I do the whole string now and he blocks it with flawless block, let's assume that the first two blocks are just normal blocks. And the last one is flawless block. Look where I'm at. Now I'm in his face and I'm negative and I can be attacked. So this is what it means to know your gaps, because let's say if this was a regular block, I'll show you the difference. So now I have Liu Kang set to normal block. Watch this. Look at that, even on block, you see the pushback? It's still essentially my turn. I mean, like, I'm not plus, but at the same time, I'm not in a position of danger. But earlier when I showed you the fireball, which we was imagining was a poke, he got knocked back. When I show you normal block, he get pushed back. But if we go flawless block, Boom, I'm right in front of his face, now I'm gonna get punished. Every character in the game has a string like this, and with matchup knowledge, you will understand what these strings are, understand where you can flawless block and get a full punish. This isn't Mortal Kombat 11 anymore where there's a flawless block attack, so you need to know your matchup knowledge, and this just comes with experience and being able to process information. So if you fighting against a Liu Kang that's constantly doing this and you getting pushed back, at some point in your brain you're supposed to be like, oh, it's a flawless blockable gap in there, I can flawless block that, and boom, get a full punish right there. Now, the computer's not gonna show you that because I don't got them set to that, but you just gotta imagine that scenario. So that goes along with processing information and being able to adjust on the fly. That'll help you win matches like you see me do all the time in my videos. Now, last but not least, this is a very intimidating thing for fighting game players who are new to fighting games and they feel like that being good is a reflection of winning or winning is a reflection of being good. And it's not necessarily that. The main thing that you have to have when you're playing fighting games is a fighting game player mentality. And what I mean by this is it's pretty much like applicable to anything in life. It's that if you lose at something, you're not a failure, you're just learning. It's no different than, let's say that you stacked up 10 G's and then you blew that money. Well, the next time you stack up 10 G's, you know what happens to not have based on the fact that you messed it up before. That same mentality that you would apply to anything in life, that's the same way that you get good at fighting games. If you lose, you're learning. You can't be the best overnight. Yeah, you may say, oh, you know, Lou, that's easy for you to say. You win a lot of matches or do these swaggy combos, but you gotta think, there was a time I was flat out trash. Everybody starts off as trash. Now, as you start to understand fundamentals in neutral, you get better at picking up things quicker, but overall, the fighting game mentality is, I lost, how did I lose? How can I avoid losing like that in the future? Now, Mortal Kombat 11 was a little bit frustrating because it had some gimmicky stuff that was just in there from day one that was always gonna be there. But it feels like with Mortal Kombat 1, we don't seem to have that. So with that being said, just have that mentality of, okay, I lost, but how did I lose? Did he zone me out? Did he pressure me? Did I not understand the matchup? Was he getting away with flawless gaps, with flawless blockable gaps? Did I not punish? Did I not optimize my damage? Did I second guess myself instinctually on what I saw? These are things that you got to think about when you're playing fighting games. And as you get used to it and you get better at it over time, you'll notice you start to do these things subconsciously. Like I say all the time when I'm streaming and I'm playing games, sometimes I feel like I turned a corner. And what I mean by that is I'll notice that I'm doing something better and I didn't really practice it, but based on experience and based on having an open mind to learning, losing, and adapting, you get better at things subconsciously because you've seen them before, just like with anything else in life. The only difference is in life, you wasn't trying to win in front of people, or maybe you wasn't just trying to win, period. You were just doing whatever you was doing, but you just learned over time because there was repetition and processing information. So just keep that in mind. That's the main thing that's gonna help you get better at fighting games. It's the fighting game player mentality. You didn't lose, you just learning. And when you learning, you have to lose in order to understand things. Hope that makes sense. Oh, and I got one more special tip for y'all. And my last and final special tip for y'all, if you wanna get better at Mortal Kombat 1, uninstall Mortal Kombat 11. I thought I was gonna make more content for it, but you know what? I love Mortal Kombat 1 too much. Sayonara. It's over, my boy. It's over. Remove it. Remove it. I gotta do it. It's over. Until the next time, it's your boy Lou Streets with the uninstalled Mortal Kombat 11. Be on this Mortal Kombat 1. I will catch you guys on the next one, and I hope that these tips helped. Peace out. Nice.